The battlefield shimmered with heat and dust. Explosions from plasma rifles and gravity hammers shook the cliffs above, but Blue Team moved with precision, each step calculated, each breath controlled. At the forefront, John 117 led the fire team, his visor reflecting the chaos with the cold, analytical clarity that had saved countless lives in the Human Covenant War. Beside him, Fred 104, Kelly 087, and Linda 058 moved in perfect synchronization, their augmented bodies straining and recovering in ways normal humans could never match. They were on the hunt for a Forerunner artifact, buried in the rocky canyon of an isolated UNSC colony world. The object itself pulsed with a strange, otherworldly energy, light bending oddly around its crystalline structure, humming with a resonance that the Spartans felt as much as they saw. The moment they reached it, alarms blared across the comm network, and a fissure tore open the very fabric of space around them. John barely had time to issue a warning before a blast of unknown energy engulfed the team. The next seconds were a blur. Gravity twisted, light fragmented, and the world they knew vanished. When the disorientation subsided, Blue Team was no longer in UNSC space. They hovered over a strange star system, one that shimmered with a blue and orange sun, its planets lined with strange, iridescent structures they had never seen. Their HUDs flared with warnings. Slip space readings were unstable. Somehow, they had been pulled into a galaxy they did not recognize, the Mass Effect Galaxy. Shepard, aboard the Normandy State Route 2, detected an anomalous slip space signature almost immediately. At first, sensors could not determine the nature of the arrivals. Ships? Weapons? Biological entities? The Normandy veered toward the signal, cautiously, aware that the Reapers were already stirring in the shadows. When Blue Team crash-landed near a dormant mass relay, Shepard's team was waiting. Liara Tsoni, Gurus Vakarian, Tali Zora, and Edi emerged from the Normandy, weapons and sensors ready. The Spartans' presence was immediately recognized as a tactical threat, energy shields that absorbed mass effect weaponry, firearms that fired at impossible velocity, and bodies that moved with supernatural speed and precision. Tensions flared. Gurus trained his sniper rifle on Linda 058, who already had her own precision rifle leveled. "Stand down," Shepard called, raising his hands. "They're not Cerberus. I can see it in their formations." His voice was calm, but his mind raced. How could beings from another war, another galaxy, arrive unannounced and survive in a system still swarming with Reaper influence? Blue Team's response was equally measured. John scanned the surrounding Mass Effect forces, calculating probabilities, seeking weak points, and noting that these beings were not immediately hostile, but the technology they carried could kill thousands with a few well-aimed shots. Fred spoke over calm, his voice modulated but tense. "We don't know where we are. We didn't choose to be here. Weapons down, but stay alert." The tension between universes was palpable, and for the first time, Spartans felt a kind of unease they had never known. Shepard made a tactical decision: bring them aboard the Normandy. Edi quickly assessed Mjolnir armor, fascinated by its energy shielding, its kinetic dispersal patterns, and the complexity of its integration with Spartan physiology. "This level of technology is beyond our current understanding," she said. Liara, studying the Forerunner artifact that remained with the Spartans, noted that the energy signature was eerily similar to Prothean constructs, yet far more advanced. Tali marveled at the ability of their shields to interact with ESO-based fields, noting that recalibration might allow for integration with Normandy systems. Meanwhile, the Reapers, ever aware of dimensional anomalies, had detected the Spartans' arrival. Their probes traced the artifact's energy signature, and in the void of deep space, a signal pulsed outward, a predator sensing prey. The Reapers began to formulate strategies to capture and study the Spartans, viewing them as an unpredictable threat that could alter the tide of galactic war. As Blue Team adapted to Mass Effect physics, a careful routine developed. Kelly demonstrated speed and agility during zero-G drills aboard the Normandy, surprising even the Normandy's veteran crew. Linda excelled in sharpshooting simulations, matching and sometimes surpassing Gurus' own calibrations. Fred coordinated tactical planning sessions with Shepard, integrating Halo combat protocols with Normandy procedures. John, as always, remained the anchor, ensuring cohesion and monitoring every potential threat, his mind already calculating probabilities for a future that none of them fully understood. The first test came when a Reaper scout vessel emerged from stealth near the relay. Its energy field threatened to destabilize the fragile wormhole surrounding the artifact. The Spartans acted instinctively, shields up, suppressive fire, precision strikes. Energy bolts collided with kinetic dispersal shields, sending showers of sparks across the landing zone. Shepard's crew was stunned. The Spartans' efficiency was unmatched. In the end, the Reaper retreated, and the relay stabilized, but the implications were clear. Beings from another galaxy, equipped with weapons beyond comprehension, now existed within the Mass Effect theater, and the balance of power had shifted irreversibly. Amid this chaos, the Spartans exchanged a look. They had survived impossible odds before, but nothing in their training had prepared them for a galaxy governed by biotics, relays, and the shadow of ancient synthetic predators. As they debriefed, John's visor reflected a calm determination. "We need to learn this galaxy's rules," he said. "And we need to survive long enough to find a way home, if home still exists." Fred nodded, Kelly and Linda ready, as they adjusted their HUDs to scan for anomalies, unaware that the very artifact that brought them here would soon pull them again into forces far beyond the Mass Effect galaxy, dragging them into realms dominated by the Force itself. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The aftermath of their abrupt arrival weighed heavily on Blue Team. Although the initial engagement with Shepard's crew had ended without bloodshed, the Spartans remained acutely aware that their presence in the Mass Effect galaxy was unstable. The Forerunner artifact still pulsed softly in the containment chamber aboard the Normandy, and EDI's diagnostics revealed subtle fluctuations in its energy field. "This signature is anomalous," the AI reported. "It does not conform to known mass relay physics. Continued exposure may produce unpredictable dimensional interactions." John 117 considered the implications silently. He had faced impossible odds before, but nothing in Halo training had prepared him for physics bending across universes. "Keep monitoring it," he said finally. "We need to understand every potential hazard. One miscalculation and we're back in slip space, or worse." Fred 104, standing beside him, allowed a rare smirk. "Or somewhere we didn't even know existed," he said. Kelly 087, already adjusting her visor to track the relay's fluctuating energy, added, "I've got a bad feeling this isn't the end of it." Linda 058, ever precise and methodical, nodded, scanning the ship for any anomalies in the fabric of space around them. Meanwhile, Shepard gathered his senior officers in the conference room. Liara Tsoni laid out her findings on the artifact, projecting a holographic map of its energy pulses. "The artifact seems to act like a multidimensional relay," she explained. "It interacts not only with slip space, but with unknown fields that suggest cross-galactic connectivity. I've never seen anything like it. If left unchecked, it could destabilize nearby relays or even entire star systems." Tali Zora frowned, tapping the edge of her Omni tool. "Are you suggesting it could tear open another galaxy?" she asked. EDI's monotone voice confirmed. "Analysis indicates high probability. The artifact's energy output exceeds any known Protheon or current technology." Thresholds. Interaction with other hyperspace anomalies could produce catastrophic spatial displacement. John listened carefully. "Then we need to be prepared for extraction, or further displacement," he said. "If we can't control it, we need to minimize collateral damage. No galaxy gets caught in a firefight we can't survive." The first test of their understanding came sooner than anticipated. A Reaper scout, drawn by the artifact's signature, emerged from the void of a neighboring system. Its presence disrupted the Normandy sensors, and the Reaper's pulse cannons fired before Shepard could even issue orders. Blue Team reacted immediately, shields up, weapons ready, and tactical positions assumed with near telepathic coordination. Kelly zipped through the corridors, disabling relay stabilizers that could have been used against them, while Linda's sharpshooting neutralized incoming energy bursts with precision. Fred coordinated suppressive fire with Shepard, providing both human and AI units a path to counterattack. During the skirmish, the Spartans' understanding of mass effect physics began to evolve. The energy shields, initially unstable, adapted to the kinetic and biotic assault patterns, while Mjolnir weapons recalibrated against synthetic targets. John moved fluidly through the chaos, calculating trajectories, suppressing threats, and ensuring the fire team maintained cohesion. The Normandy crew watched in awe as the Spartans demonstrated combat efficiency far beyond even the best-trained operatives in the galaxy. After the Reaper retreated, the team regrouped. "You're not from here," Iris said, half in disbelief, half in admiration. Fred's helmeted face turned toward him. "We're from another galaxy. We got dragged here by a Forerunner artifact and a dimensional anomaly," he said simply. "We're not looking to start a war, but we will survive." Shepard considered the implications. "If the Reapers are aware of you, and the artifact is unstable, we're dealing with forces beyond conventional galactic war. You might be our best shot at keeping this galaxy safe." John nodded but said nothing. Survival and mission focus were his priorities. Alliances were secondary. As days passed aboard the Normandy, the Spartans adjusted to their new environment. Training sessions mixed Halo combat routines with Mass Effect field simulations, testing how shields interacted with biotic attacks and kinetic barriers. Liara's research uncovered subtle Forerunner tech signatures embedded within the artifact, suggesting a level of intelligence and foresight beyond even the Reaper's reach. Tali assisted with modifications to Mjolnir systems, helping to stabilize the energy interface with the Normandy's drive core. But it was not all theory and training. The artifact's energy fluctuations grew more pronounced. Shepard convened a council of specialists to determine the risks. "We can't leave it here," he said. "The moment the energy spikes again, it could open another rift." Fred leaned against the table, arms crossed. "So what's the plan? Destroy it? That's a lot of firepower we've never seen before." Kelly's eyes narrowed. "Or we could contain it, stabilize it long enough to study it. Maybe even use it to get home." John considered both options. Each carried risk. Destruction could trigger an uncontrolled reaction. Containment requires time, and we may not get that. Our priority is survival, for ourselves and this galaxy. We work with what we know, and we adapt. His words set the tone, calm, methodical, precise. The next anomaly occurred without warning. The artifact pulsed, its energy spiking violently. The Normandy trembled. EDI's voice echoed through the ship. "Artifact instability detected. Spatial displacement imminent." The hull lights flickered as gravitational distortion rippled through the vessel. The Spartans and Normandy crew scrambled. Shields against the hull strained, emergency protocols engaged. Then, the impossible happened. The Forerunner artifact triggered a secondary rift, one far more violent than before. John's visor displayed a cascading array of alerts. "Brace for transition," he commanded. Fred, Kelly, and Linda locked themselves into combat-ready positions, weapons raised and shields activated. Shepard's crew held fast, the Normandy's systems operating at maximum output to resist the pull. In a blinding flash of light, the Normandy and its unexpected passengers were ripped from the Mass Effect galaxy. Stars stretched into lines, and hyperspace distorted. Shepard felt a tug unlike anything in standard slip space. Kelly's HUD flickered. Biotic fields became erratic. Even the Mjolnir shields, usually reliable, struggled against the unknown physics of the rift. When the light faded, silence descended. The Normandy hovered over a strange world with twin suns of gold and crimson. Structures that resembled a combination of ancient temples and futuristic installations stretched across the horizon. The air was heavy with tension and something else. A presence, almost palpable, seemed to cling to the atmosphere. Jedi, perhaps? Sith? The Force itself whispered in ways the Spartans could sense but not understand. John 1:17 activated his comm. "Status report," he ordered. "Everyone accounted for?" Fred, Kelly, and Linda responded affirmatively. Shepard checked the Normandy systems. "We're operational, but we're not in the Mass Effect galaxy anymore," he said. "Whatever this is, it's different. We need to assess before we make contact." And that was when the first clone battalion appeared on the horizon, blasters raised, moving with military precision. It was clear, they were not in Mass Effect anymore. They had crossed again, this time into a galaxy governed by the Force, political complexity, and war on a scale the Spartans had never imagined. The landing zone was tense. Dust swirled around the Normandy's hull as Blue Team stepped onto the alien soil, Mjolnir armor reflecting the twin suns overhead. The terrain was unlike anything they had encountered, a mix of arid plains and dense forests punctuated by metallic structures that radiated an energy John instinctively recognized as unlike any Mass Effect or Forerunner technology. He scanned the horizon, noting the movements of the figures approaching, soldiers, but not clones or reapers. Their armor glinted, some wielding long, glowing weapons, others firing blasters in sweeping arcs. A Jedi general emerged from the formation, a calm presence amidst the military precision. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi studied the newcomers carefully, sensing no trace of the Force within them. "Beings without Force signatures," he muttered to his lieutenant. "And yet, their discipline is formidable. Approach with caution." Clones around them mirrored his movements, weapons trained yet hesitant, as if unsure whether these strangers were allies or enemies. John stepped forward, visor scanning the approaching battalion. "We don't intend hostility," he said, voice steady, the authority of a Spartan commanding respect even in this alien environment. Fred flanked him, while Kelly and Linda moved to cover all angles. "We were brought here by forces beyond our control. Identify yourselves and your intentions." The Jedi raised his hand in a gesture of peace. "I am Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Galactic Republic. These are clone troops under my command. You are not from this galaxy. That much is clear. But your arrival cannot go unnoticed. We must understand whether you are threat or ally." Linda 058 leveled her rifle, though she did not fire. "We are soldiers," she said. "Trained for combat, but we do not fight unless necessary. Our priority is survival and returning to our own galaxy." Kelly 087 scanned the surrounding troops, noting the synchronized patterns of their formation. "They fight like no ordinary army," she observed. "We need to stay alert." Fred 104's tone was pragmatic. "Let's make this quick. We adapt to threats, but we need information." John nodded. "Agreed. We must ascertain the parameters of this world and its factions before making any tactical decisions." The Jedi stepped closer. "Your armor and weapons, they are unlike anything I have seen, yet you move with the discipline of trained warriors. I sense no corruption in you. You may accompany us to our command post for questioning, but any aggression will be met with force." As the Spartans moved under escort, their sensors detected faint traces of energy, the same signature they had felt when the Forerunner artifact activated in the Mass Effect galaxy. Kelly's HUD blinked rapidly. "Artifact influence," she said. "It's still active. It's pulling energy from this world, from the Force itself." Shepard, observing from the Normandy, interfaced with the ship's AI. "EDI, can you analyze the energy signature remotely?" he asked. EDI's synthetic voice responded calmly. "Preliminary analysis indicates resonance between the Forerunner artifact and ambient force fields. Interaction may amplify the artifact's output or destabilize local gravitational vectors." The clones and Jedi brought the Spartans to a command outpost. Within, holographic displays flickered, mapping the planet's terrain and highlighting key locations of separatist activity. A senior clone commander explained, "We are in the mid-rim. Separatist forces have been consolidating near the outer rim. Their movements are unpredictable. And now, you have arrived." Fred 104 surveyed the data, comparing it to known UNSC and Mass Effect operational parameters. "We're out of our depth, but not out of options," he said. "We adapt. We survive." John 1:17. Considered the strategic implications. The artifact, the energy pull, the clones, and the Jedi, all variables in a complex battlefield that could shift at any moment. Kelly's 087 focused on the Jedi. "Their weapons emit energy, but we have shields. They move with precision, yet their strength is limited by their force sensitivity. We can counter if necessary, but diplomacy is preferable." Linda 058 nodded. "Observe, calculate, strike only if unavoidable. That's our protocol." As the Spartans studied the new galaxy, a separatist droid reconnaissance unit was detected near the horizon. Its sensors had picked up the Spartans' presence, and tactical droids quickly reported back to Count Dooku. Count Dooku saw potential in these warriors. Beings from another galaxy, weapons beyond our comprehension. They can serve as instruments to defeat the Jedi. He instructed his operatives to capture or neutralize the Spartans, sending a wave of tactical droids toward their location. The first encounter was inevitable. Energy bolts collided with kinetic shields in a storm of sparks and fury. Kelly zipped forward, disabling droid circuits with surgical precision. Linda's sharpshooting neutralized key targets, each shot calculating trajectory, resistance, and velocity with deadly accuracy. Fred coordinated suppressive fire, ensuring that clones and Spartans did not obstruct one another. John 1:17 led the team through the chaos, clearing paths, identifying threats, and orchestrating a tactical retreat when necessary. The Jedi intervened, lightsabers cutting through droids, their movements fluid and elegant. John observed them, noting the similarity to close-quarters combat drills he had trained for, though augmented by an unseen energy he could not measure. "Adaptation is key," he thought. "They are powerful, but not invincible. Calculated engagement ensures survival." Once the separatist threat was neutralized, the Spartans, Shepard, and the Jedi convened. Liara Tsoni had arrived via Normandy transport, studying the interface between the artifact and the force fields. "The artifact may be attracting multiple galaxies," she said. "Its resonance seems to respond to energy concentrations, including biotic or force-derived energies. If left unchecked, it could create further rifts." The implications were clear. Blue Team's presence in the Star Wars galaxy was not just a random occurrence, it was a catalyst for instability. Jedi, clones, and Spartans now faced a trigalactic threat whose scope exceeded any single universe. Cooperation, careful calculation, and adaptation would be essential if they were to survive and prevent catastrophe. John 1:17 glanced at his team, visor reflecting the twin suns. "We do not start wars," he said, "but we end them when necessary. We adapt, we survive, and we complete the mission. Let's learn this galaxy's rules and prepare for whatever comes next." Fred, Kelly, and Linda nodded in silent agreement. They had survived the Covenant, the Flood, and now the unpredictability of the Mass Effect galaxy. Nothing would be easy, but survival was their constant. Above them, in the shadows of the twin suns, unknown observers watched, Sith, separatist operatives, and other forces already sensing the anomaly. The Spartans' reputation as unparalleled warriors would soon spread across this galaxy, setting in motion events that would intertwine three universes in ways none of them could yet imagine. The Spartans had barely finished acclimating to the strange new world when a fresh threat emerged. From the dense forest lining the valley, shadows moved with precision, Sith agents dispatched by Count Dooku himself. Their crimson lightsabers glowed ominously through the haze, and dark energy radiated from their every motion. Asajj Ventress led the vanguard, her dual blades cutting arcs through the dim light as she surveyed the intruders. She sensed something different in the newcomers, warriors without the Force, yet radiating controlled power in every step. John 1:17 assessed the situation instantly, pulling his team into formation. "Contact Protocol Alpha," he ordered. "Non-lethal engagement unless provoked. Neutralize key threats first." Fred 104 flanked him, weapon systems recalibrating for energy blades, while Kelly's 087 and Linda's 058 scanned for possible ambush points. Even in an alien environment, their training allowed for rapid adaptation, and their coordination remained impeccable. The first Sith lunged, red sabers flashing toward John. He dodged, using reflexes honed through decades of war, and countered with a well-aimed pulse from his assault rifle. The shot disrupted her movement, though it did not harm her significantly. Kelly moved in a blur, taking precise shots that disabled several droids accompanying the Sith forces, while Linda focused on Ventress herself, calculating the timing of her attacks down to milliseconds. Asajj Ventress let out a low hiss of frustration. "They are not Jedi," she murmured, sensing the absence of force alignment. "But their discipline, unmatched. They may yet serve as tools or threats." She adjusted her stance, preparing to exploit a momentary opening. From a ridge above, Shepard and his crew watched, evaluating their role. Gurus held his sniper rifle steady, noting weak points in the enemy formation, while Liara attempted to sense biotic anomalies, trying to predict the Sith's next moves. "We need to coordinate," Shepard called. "Spartans focus on containment, we cover support and extraction points. Do not engage unless necessary." Fred 104 signaled the team to advance. The Spartans moved like ghosts across the battlefield, their shields absorbing and dispersing energy blasts, while their precision weapons targeted vital points in the Sith contingent. Kelly took a daring maneuver through a narrow gap, disabling a secondary force field generator, allowing clones to flank the enemy. Linda's sniper fire intercepted Ventress's dual-blade strikes with surgical efficiency, buying John enough time to push forward. Despite the chaos, the Spartans quickly identified a pattern in the Sith attack formations. Each move, each strike, was calculated to exploit perceived weaknesses, yet Blue Team countered every attempt with seamless teamwork. John's mind operated at maximum capacity, analyzing enemy combat signatures, predicting their next moves, and adapting tactics on the fly. "Do not underestimate them," he said to his team. "They are agile and lethal. Maintain cohesion." Ventress launched herself toward John in a spinning strike, her blades glowing violently. John stepped aside, using kinetic momentum to sweep her off balance, while Linda fired a disabling shot that forced Ventress to retreat. The Sith apprentice hissed, regaining her footing. "Interesting," she said, sensing both frustration and curiosity. "They are not of the Force, yet they counter it as if instinct." Meanwhile, the clones engaged secondary enemies, battle droids and mercenary forces that had arrived from nearby separatist pockets. Fred coordinated suppressive fire with Gurus providing long-range cover, while Kelly executed rapid maneuvers to disable droid circuits. Shepard observed, realizing the Spartans' adaptability was unparalleled, even when combined with mass-effect biotics and weaponry. The midst of the skirmish, the Forerunner artifact pulsed violently. Its energy interacted with ambient force fields, sending ripples across the battlefield. Kelly's visor flickered with new readings. "Artifact's energy is influencing the force around them," she shouted. "It's amplifying abilities. We need to contain it." Liara and Tali worked frantically to stabilize the artifact, interfacing with the Normandy's systems and recalibrating shields to absorb excess energy. Shepard coordinated with John, devising a plan to draw Ventress and her forces toward the artifact without triggering further instability. "We can use it as a lure," John calculated. "Force-sensitive enemies will be drawn to its energy, giving us a tactical advantage." The plan was executed with precision. Spartans advanced in formation, guiding Ventress and her forces into a zone where the artifact's influence was strongest. As the Sith approached, the artifact's pulsing energy created an unpredictable field, causing brief disorientation and instability in their attacks. John exploited the moment, directing his team to neutralize key threats while minimizing collateral damage. Ventress, realizing the trap, attempted a desperate strike against the artifact itself. John anticipated the move, intercepting her path with a shielded push that sent her sprawling. Kelly and Linda targeted her weapon systems, while Fred coordinated suppression. In a final, precise move, the artifact's energy surged, creating a containment bubble around the combatants. The Sith were forced to retreat, recognizing that further aggression would risk catastrophic feedback. Shepard and his crew assessed the aftermath. Clones regrouped, weapons lowered but ready, while Spartans maintained combat readiness. "That was efficient," Gura said, visibly impressed. Liara studied the artifact, noting the interaction with Force energy. "It's more powerful than I imagined. Its resonance with ambient energy is unprecedented." John 117 removed his helmet briefly, revealing a thoughtful expression beneath. "This galaxy has rules different from ours," he said. "But we adapt. Survival requires understanding, precision, and control. We will not be controlled by it." Fred 104 nodded, Kelly 087 scanned the perimeter, and Linda 058 recalibrated her systems. The team had survived another trial, but they knew it was only the beginning. Above them, unseen observers, Sith, Separatist strategists, and Reaper scouts still monitoring the artifact, recorded the encounter. The presence of beings from yet another galaxy, combined with the artifact's unpredictable energy, had shifted the balance of power. Plans would need to be revised, alliances reconsidered, and strategies adapted. John looked at the artifact, sensing its latent potential. "We've seen what it can do," he said. "Next time, we must be ready not just to react, but to control the battlefield entirely. That is the only way to survive." As the sun set over the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the terrain, the Spartans, Shepard, and Jedi alike understood one thing: this was a collision of universes, and nothing in any galaxy would ever be the same again. The aftermath of the skirmish left the Spartans and their new allies with little time to breathe. The Forerunner artifact pulsed quietly, its energy seemingly dormant for the first time since arrival, but everyone knew this was temporary. Shepard convened an emergency meeting with John 117, Liara, Tali, and the Jedi Council representatives. "We need a plan," Shepard began. "If this artifact is attracting other forces, we could be facing an escalation far beyond anything we've seen." John listened carefully, analyzing every statement. "Our first priority is containment," he said. "The artifact's energy is affecting everything around it, and we've already seen how it interacts with Force-sensitive beings. We cannot allow it to fall into hostile hands or trigger another displacement event." Kelly 087 leaned against a railing, visor scanning the nearby terrain. "And we have to anticipate the next attack," she said. "If the Sith know its power, they'll try again, and this time they'll bring reinforcements." Tali and Liara worked quickly, combining Mass Effect tech with UNSC protocols to establish a containment field around the artifact. Shields flickered as energy readings surged, but the combined effort stabilized the anomaly just enough to prevent immediate disaster. Liara turned to John. "It's fragile," she warned. "Any significant interference, whether biotic, force, or kinetic, could overload it." Meanwhile, reconnaissance drones from Shepard's crew detected unusual movements along the horizon. "Multiple fleets are converging," Tali said. "We're seeing Separatist cruisers, scattered pirate ships, and something else. Unknown signatures moving too fast for standard propulsion." John's HUD registered the new contacts instantly. "Unknown vessels. Could be Reaper-related or another interdimensional spill. Either way, they're a threat. We need positions and priorities." Suppression and ensuring that the team's formation remained intact. Despite the chaos, the artifact's influence persisted. Pulses of energy rippled through the battlefield, disrupting Force-sensitive attackers and causing localized surges in biotic fields. Liara and Tali monitored the artifact, adjusting containment protocols in real time. "We're barely holding it," Liara warned. "Another surge like this, and we risk a dimensional breach." In the midst of battle, a moral dilemma presented itself. One of the Separatist droid units carried a destabilizing energy core that could overload the containment field if it reached the artifact. Shepard's crew hesitated. Destroying it would risk civilian casualties in nearby settlements, but leaving it intact threatened catastrophic failure. John 117 made the decision instantly. Neutralize the core, he ordered. Minimize collateral damage. Proceed with precision. Kelly and Linda moved in tandem, disabling the core without harm to nearby areas, demonstrating the combination of tactical acumen and ethical consideration that defined their approach. As the night wore on, the battle intensified. Sith forces adapted, learning to anticipate the Spartan strategies, while Separatist droids coordinated with increasing sophistication. The Jedi intervened to prevent key enemy movements, while Shepard and his crew directed reinforcements and managed logistics. Every decision carried weight, and every miscalculation could result in disaster. By dawn, the immediate wave had been repelled. Both Spartans and Jedi assessed the battlefield, recognizing the true scope of what they faced. "This is only the beginning," Obi-Wan said quietly. "The artifact has drawn attention from forces beyond our comprehension. Its presence will continue to shift the balance of power." John 117 nodded, visor scanning the horizon for lingering threats. "We adapt," he said. "We survive. And we ensure that no being, here or elsewhere, can use this power for destruction." Fred 104 added, "We've faced worse odds. This is just another battlefield. Strategy, precision, and coordination will see us through." The artifact, still contained but unstable, pulsed once more. Its energy resonated with both biotic and force fields, hinting at even greater potential and danger. The Spartans understood that their mission had evolved. They were no longer merely survivors of a dimensional accident. They were now guardians against a threat that spanned multiple galaxies, a bridge between worlds whose instability could ignite war across universes. As the twin suns rose, casting long shadows over the scarred plains, John surveyed his team. "Prepare for the next phase," he said. "We will engage, adapt, and endure. Nothing in this galaxy, or any other, will catch us off guard." The Spartans spent the following hours fortifying positions, their experience in hostile environments guiding every decision. Mjolnir shields interfaced with Normandy systems to create layered defensive perimeters, while clones and Jedi patrolled the surrounding terrain. John 117's tactical mind moved like clockwork, analyzing every variable, artifact energy fluctuations, enemy movement patterns, and the limitations of both allied and opposing forces. Liara Tsoni and Talizora Nara shifted through holographic schematics, monitoring biotic and technological anomalies. "The artifact's energy is escalating," Liara warned. "If these surges continue, they could cause unpredictable dimensional interactions." Tali, working furiously at a terminal, nodded. "I'm reinforcing containment fields with Normandy auxiliary power, but it's temporary. We need to understand the artifact's nature before a permanent solution is viable." The Jedi sensed the gathering storm. "Sith forces are consolidating," Obi-Wan said. "Count Dooku has realized the artifact's potential. His agents will exploit any weakness. And there are other unknown observers, forces beyond our immediate comprehension, possibly drawn by the energy." John considered these variables, scanning the perimeter through his visor HUD. "We cannot fight blindly," he said. "We must anticipate, predict, and counter. Everyone knows their role. Kelly, Linda, coordinate flanking teams. Fred, maintain suppression and reinforce positions. I'll lead the main engagement." As dawn broke fully, the first true wave arrived. Sith strike teams emerged from the treeline, supported by droid battalions and modified assault units. Their energy blades cut arcs through the air, while heavy blaster fire rained upon defensive positions. Kelly zipped across open terrain, neutralizing high-priority threats with surgical precision. Linda took long-range positions, suppressing approaching enemies while targeting key energy conduits on droid units. "We've got new contacts. Fast-moving, unknown origin. Could be allies or threats. Proceed with caution." John acknowledged the message, redirecting his team's focus. "Maintain engagement. We cannot allow the Sith or droids to exploit distraction. Position units for adaptive response." The artifact pulsed again, energy radiating outward in waves that temporarily destabilized both force-sensitive attackers and biotic forces. Liara quickly analyzed the pattern. It's creating unpredictable resonance with both the force and biotics. She explained, "We can use it strategically, but one misstep could amplify it uncontrollably." John's mind raced through tactical possibilities. "We'll use it as a lure," he concluded. "Draw forces toward the artifact's influence, neutralize priority targets, and maintain defensive perimeters. Kelly and Linda, coordinate with Shepard's crew to cover flanks. Fred, hold suppression points and monitor for hyperspace incursions." The plan executed flawlessly. Sith units, drawn to the artifact, engaged with Blue Team under controlled conditions. Kelly disabled key energy conduits, Linda intercepted Ventress's attacks, and Fred maintained battlefield control. John led the push, using kinetic shields and precise firepower to neutralize the most dangerous combatants. However, the engagement presented moral and strategic dilemmas. Several separatist droid units carried experimental cores capable of destabilizing containment fields. Allowing them to operate risked catastrophic feedback, destroying them risked collateral damage. John's decision was immediate: neutralize cores with minimal force. Kelly and Linda executed the strikes with surgical precision, preventing both catastrophic failure and civilian casualties in nearby settlements. As the sun rose higher, the battlefield began to stabilize. Droid units were disabled or captured, and containment fields held steady. John surveyed the aftermath. "We've stabilized the immediate threat," he said, voice calm. "But the artifact's presence ensures this is only temporary. Other forces will come." Liara and Tali reinforced containment measures. Shepard coordinated reinforcements, preparing for potential incoming fleets. Jedi meditated briefly, attuning to the artifact's energy, though even their abilities were limited by its chaotic influence. John observed silently, recognizing the convergence of strategy, ethics, and raw power that would define the next phase. "This galaxy operates differently," John remarked to Fred. "But principles remain: adapt, survive, and control the battlefield. Whatever comes next, we'll be ready." Fred nodded. "We've faced worse. This is just another level of threat. Precision, coordination, and discipline, that's our advantage." The artifact pulsed one final time before stabilizing into a dormant state, radiating a quiet but ominous energy. All factions recognized the temporary calm was merely a prelude. Above, unseen observers, Sith strategists, Reaper scouts, and unknown interdimensional entities recorded the events, preparing responses. Blue Team, Shepard, and the Jedi understood one unassailable truth: they were at the center of a collision that would shape galaxies, requiring every ounce of skill, intelligence, and resolve they possessed. John turned to his team. "Prepare for the next phase. Engagements will escalate, and we must maintain readiness. This artifact, and everything drawn to it, will challenge everything we know. Adapt, survive, and execute. That is the only way forward." The quiet that followed the battle was deceptive. The plains bore the scars of the previous day's skirmishes: cratered terrain, scattered debris, and the lingering hum of energy fields. But John 117 and his team knew that the real fight was only beginning. Intel collected by Shepard and Tali confirmed the convergence of multiple factions: separatist remnants, Sith operatives loyal to Count Dooku, rogue mercenaries, and even unknown ships that eluded sensor identification. Every movement indicated preparation for a coordinated strike against the artifact. John convened Blue Team and Shepard's crew in the temporary command center established near the artifact. "We have an escalation coming," John began, voice precise. "Enemy forces are uniting. Our objective remains the same: protect the artifact and maintain containment. But this is no longer a defensive action, it's going to be a proactive engagement." Fred 104 adjusted his visor, scanning for tactical weaknesses and potential enemy formations. "We'll need overlapping kill zones, suppression points, and contingency plans for unexpected threats. Kelly, Linda, coordinate perimeter defenses with Shepard's squad. I'll manage forward suppression and reserve units. Liara projected a holographic map, displaying anticipated enemy entry vectors. They'll attempt a multi-pronged approach, she explained. Sith will focus on the artifact directly, while Separatist droids secure flanks and block retreat paths. Unknown ships could deploy additional forces, possibly with faster-than-light arrival. Tali added, I've reinforced perimeter shields, but any concentrated strike could breach them. We need mobile units ready to react instantly. John nodded. Understood. We'll split our forces into rapid response teams. Kelly and Linda will handle high-priority targets. Fred will maintain suppression and cover sectors. I'll oversee the main engagement, intercepting threats and adapting as they evolve. Shepard, your crew provides tactical. Working frantically at a console, recalibrated the containment field to prevent a catastrophic feedback loop. It's unstable, she shouted. Every surge risks a breach. We need to manage this carefully, or the battlefield could collapse entirely. John processed the information instantly. Use the artifact's energy as a tactical variable, he said. Draw the Sith toward it, force predictable engagement patterns, and neutralize key units. Kelly, Linda, coordinate with Shepard's forces to contain energy surges. Fred, suppress until targets are immobilized. I'll intercept Ventress directly if needed. The next phase of combat was brutal. Sith and Separatist forces advanced with ruthless coordination. Kelly darted through enemy lines, neutralizing high-value units and disrupting flanking attempts. Linda's sniper fire intercepted attacks with surgical accuracy, and Fred maintained a suppression field that prevented mass movement. John confronted Ventress directly, using a combination of kinetic shielding, precise fire, and strategic movement to counter her dual-blade assaults. The moral complexity of the situation emerged when John identified an experimental Separatist unit carrying a destabilizing energy core that could obliterate a containment field if detonated. Shepard's crew hesitated. Destroying it risked collateral damage, but leaving it intact endangered the entire operation. John made the decision instantly. Neutralize with surgical precision. Minimize casualties. Kelly and Linda executed flawlessly, dismantling the core without harming surrounding areas, preserving both tactical objectives and ethical responsibility. As the battle raged, Ventress began employing more aggressive tactics, attempting to manipulate the artifact's energy field to her advantage. John anticipated her moves, countering with coordinated support and coordinates reinforcements. As the plan was set into motion, the first wave arrived, a swarm of Separatist assault units backed by Sith strike teams. Their coordination demonstrated increasing sophistication, suggesting prior analysis of Blue Team's previous engagements. Ventress herself led the Sith contingent, moving with calculated aggression, dual blades slicing arcs through the morning light. Kelly moved like a shadow, striking quickly and efficiently. She disabled multiple droid units attempting to breach the perimeter while avoiding Ventress's direct engagement. Linda, positioned on a ridge, provided overwatch, targeting energy cores and high-priority threats with lethal precision. Fred's suppression fire pinned advancing enemies, buying John the moments needed to anticipate and neutralize the most dangerous opponents. John's tactical analysis detected a pattern. The Sith were attempting to isolate and draw out individual Spartans. Recognizing the danger, he countered immediately. Form defensive matrix Delta, he ordered. Blue Team adjusted seamlessly, interlocking shields and weapons coverage, creating overlapping protection zones that neutralized the Sith's divide-and-conquer strategy. Above the battlefield, unknown ships appeared on the horizon. Their movements were erratic, suggesting unconventional propulsion, possibly interdimensional or experimental technology. Shepard immediately issued orders to intercept, deploying Normandy's long-range sensors and armed frigates. The engagement quickly escalated into a multi-layered conflict, with aerial assaults, ground skirmishes, and containment efforts converging in a single, chaotic theater. The artifact pulsed violently as the battle intensified, interacting unpredictably with biotic and force energies. Liara, Maneuvers that exploited her reliance on force precognition, something she could not apply against the Spartans' calculated unpredictability. In tandem, Kelly and Linda continued their surgical strikes, and Fred maintained battlefield control, ensuring no breach of defensive lines. Despite overwhelming odds, the Allied forces held. The Sith and Separatists were repelled, but the battle had highlighted a critical reality. The artifact's energy was attracting ever more dangerous observers. Unseen forces, both known and unknown, were converging, drawn by the artifact's resonance across dimensions. Every tactical victory was temporary. Every calculated maneuver merely delayed inevitable escalation. John surveyed the battlefield, assessing the outcome. "We've held the line," he said. "But this artifact ensures the next wave will be more coordinated and deadly. Prepare for incoming threats. Adapt, survive, and execute. That is the only way forward." Above, Ventress retreated, glancing back with measured calculation. The Spartans had survived her assault, but she now understood their potential threat. Her mind began considering alliances, manipulations, and tactical options to exploit the artifact's energy in her favor. The collision of universes was only deepening, and the next confrontation promised to test both sides in unprecedented ways. The battlefield remained tense as dusk approached, the golden light casting elongated shadows across the scarred terrain. Blue Team and Shepard's forces had regrouped, repairing defensive structures and patching energy shields around the artifact. Every Spartan moved with meticulous precision, aware that the next assault would test not only their physical capabilities but also their strategic foresight. John 117 analyzed incoming communications and sensor readings. Unknown vessels were maneuvering at the edge of hyperspace, their propulsion signatures unlike anything in the Mass Effect database. Shepard and Tali exchanged data streams, attempting to classify the intruders, while Liara's biotic scans indicated interference from multiple energy sources. "They're converging on the artifact simultaneously," Liara reported. "If they synchronize attacks, containment could fail." John's tactical mind raced. "We'll divide forces. Kelly and Linda, intercept units entering from the northern corridor. Fred, provide suppression in central sectors. I'll lead the main strike against the primary enemy contingent. Shepard, coordinate reinforcements and prepare for potential hyperspace incursions." The Spartans moved with fluid efficiency, executing the plan as if it were second nature. The first wave of attackers arrived in chaotic formations. Sith strike teams, reinforced by separatist droids, advanced with lethal precision. Ventress herself led a direct assault on the artifact, exploiting every perceived weakness in the Allied defenses. Kelly darted through the enemy lines, disabling high-value targets with surgical efficiency. Linda took overwatch positions, neutralizing units attempting to flank or breach containment fields. Fred's suppression fire pinned advancing forces, buying John critical moments to anticipate enemy maneuvers. Above, unknown ships engaged Normandy and Allied frigates in midspace. Their erratic maneuvers suggested non-standard propulsion, possibly interdimensional or experimental. Shepard immediately directed intercept teams to engage, attempting to prevent deployment of additional ground units. The artifact's energy pulsed violently in response, interacting unpredictably with both force-sensitive attackers and biotic powers. Liara adjusted containment fields in real time, stabilizing the anomaly enough to prevent immediate catastrophe. John recognized the pattern emerging from the chaos. The Sith were exploiting the artifact's resonance to enhance their force abilities, while separatist droids coordinated attacks with surprising sophistication. Ventress attempted to isolate Spartans individually, using distraction tactics to manipulate battlefield flow. John countered immediately. "Form defensive matrix echo," he commanded. Blue Team adjusted seamlessly, creating overlapping protection zones that neutralized the divide-and-conquer strategy. Moral and strategic dilemmas arose when experimental separatist units carrying destabilizing energy cores approached containment fields. Shepard's crew hesitated, destroying the cores risked collateral damage, but leaving them intact threatened catastrophic failure. John's decision was instant. "Neutralize cores with surgical precision," he ordered. Kelly and Linda executed the strikes flawlessly, preventing disaster while preserving ethical responsibility. The engagement escalated as Ventress exploited the artifact's energy, channeling it to augment her attacks. John anticipated her moves, countering with kinetic shields and precise maneuvers that leveraged Spartan unpredictability. Kelly and Linda continued their surgical strikes, Fred maintained suppression, and Shepard's team reinforced weakened sectors. Despite overwhelming opposition, the Allied forces held. The Sith and Separatist waves were repelled, but it was clear that the artifact's energy was attracting increasingly dangerous observers. Each tactical victory was temporary, every maneuver a delay before the inevitable escalation. As night fell, the battle's intensity gave way to strategic recalibration. Blue Team, Shepard, and Allied forces evaluated casualties, repaired equipment, and reinforced perimeters. The artifact, still pulsing faintly, served as a constant reminder of the stakes. John surveyed the battlefield. "We've held for now," he said. "But this artifact ensures that the next wave will be more coordinated, more dangerous. We must prepare for escalation. Adapt, survive, execute. That is the only way forward." In the shadows, Ventress retreated, reassessing her tactics. She had witnessed firsthand the Spartans' prowess, and her mind began crafting strategies for the next encounter. Meanwhile, unknown observers in hyperspace monitored the events, calculating their approach to exploit weaknesses in both the Spartans' and Mass Effect Force's defenses. The collision of universes had entered a critical phase, one where survival, strategy, and moral choices would determine the future of multiple galaxies. The tension was unbearable. Intelligence from Liara and Tali indicated that the next wave was imminent, a coordinated assault that combined Sith warriors, separatist droids, rogue mercenaries, and unknown interdimensional ships. The artifact's energy had intensified, sending waves of fluctuating power across the battlefield, destabilizing biotic and force abilities alike. Every pulse threatened to tear open a dimensional rift, and every tactical decision carried consequences far beyond the immediate fight. John 117 reviewed his team's positions. Kelly 087 and Linda 058 were assigned high-priority interception tasks. Fred 104 oversaw suppression and perimeter reinforcement, and Shepard's crew coordinated reinforcements and monitored hyperspace corridors. "This is the decisive engagement," John stated calmly. "Our objective: protect the artifact, neutralize the assault, and maintain containment at all costs. Move precisely, strike decisively, and adapt to every threat." As the first wave of Sith and Separatist forces approached, the artifact's energy pulsed violently, sending shockwaves through the terrain. Ventress led the Sith contingent, exploiting the resonance to enhance her force abilities. Her blades flashed with deadly speed, cutting through droid units and challenging Spartans with brutal efficiency. Kelly darted through enemy lines, neutralizing high-value units with surgical precision, while Linda maintained overwatch, targeting energy conduits and key threats to prevent breaches in the containment field. Fred's suppression fire pinned enemy units, creating openings for John to intercept the most dangerous combatants. The battle quickly escalated into chaos. Unknown interdimensional ships deployed advanced assault units, their propulsion systems allowing rapid strikes and evasive maneuvers. Shepard directed Normandy's sensors and frigates to intercept, but the sheer number of incoming threats pushed the Allied forces to the limits of coordination. Liara and Tali worked frantically, adjusting containment fields to prevent catastrophic energy feedback while monitoring dimensional anomalies. Amidst the chaos, a critical moral dilemma emerged. A separatist unit carrying an unstable energy core moved toward the artifact, threatening to breach containment. Shepard's team hesitated. Detonation could destroy the artifact and harm nearby forces, but leaving it intact risked annihilation. John's decision was immediate. "Neutralize with surgical precision," he commanded. Kelly and Linda executed flawlessly, dismantling the core without casualties, demonstrating the Spartans' balance of tactical efficiency and ethical responsibility. Ventress intensified her assault, channeling the artifact's energy to amplify her speed and agility. John anticipated her moves, countering with kinetic shields and calculated strikes. Kelly and Linda coordinated their attacks to disrupt her flow, while Fred maintained battlefield control, ensuring no units exploited gaps. The Spartans' combination of unpredictability, tactical acumen, and raw power proved crucial in countering the Sith's enhanced abilities. As the battle raged, other unknown factions began probing containment boundaries. Interdimensional units tested energy thresholds, forcing Liara and Tali to continuously adapt. Shepard coordinated with Blue Team to deploy rapid response squads, countering breaches and maintaining defensive integrity. Every movement, every decision, was a balance between offensive action and preservation of the artifact's stability. Hours passed in relentless combat. Enemy forces adapted, employing multi-layered strategies and unexpected alliances, but the Spartans' discipline, training, and strategic flexibility allowed them to respond effectively. John 117 led decisive strikes, targeting leaders and high-threat units, while Kelly and Linda executed surgical interventions that minimized collateral damage. Fred maintained continuous suppression, allowing Allied forces to hold defensive lines even under overwhelming pressure. The artifact's energy pulsed one final time during the climax of the battle, creating a resonance field that disoriented enemies while stabilizing the battlefield for a brief moment. Ventress, recognizing defeat, retreated strategically, acknowledging the Spartans' superiority in both tactics and adaptability. Separatist droids were neutralized or captured, and rogue mercenaries fled, realizing the futility of continued engagement. As calm returned, John surveyed the battlefield. "We've repelled the core threat," he said. "But this is not the end. The artifact's energy ensures further escalation, and new forces will converge. Prepare for continued engagement. Adapt, survive, execute. That remains our only path forward." The victory was tactical but temporary. The artifact, still pulsating faintly, remained a focal point for interdimensional attention. Sith strategists, Reaper scouts, and unknown observers monitored the engagement, analyzing weaknesses, and recalculating strategies. The Spartans, Shepard, and their allies had demonstrated resilience and effectiveness, but the war for control and survival was far from over. John turned to his team. "We've survived the decisive battle, but the universe has only just begun to test us. Every engagement from here on will be more complex, more dangerous. Remain vigilant. Adapt, survive, execute. That is the Spartan way, and it is the way we endure." The battlefield had quieted, but the tension was far from gone. The night was dense, filled with the hum of containment fields and the faint residual energy of the artifact, which now pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. John 117 moved among his team, observing each Spartan as they checked gear, recalibrated shields, and maintained weapon systems. The exhaustion in their posture was tempered by unwavering focus. Every Spartan understood that the artifact was a beacon, drawing increasingly formidable adversaries from beyond dimensions, and that vigilance was eternal. Shepard and the Normandy crew worked in tandem with Liara and Tali, monitoring hyperspace signatures and energy fluctuations. "New vessels detected," Shepard reported. "Unknown origin, heading directly for the artifact. Speed suggests highly advanced propulsion. Could be interdimensional or experimental." Tali adjusted the sensors, confirming the observation. "They're not following conventional trajectories. If they enter the atmosphere, we'll have less than 2 minutes before engagement." John analyzed the scenario with his characteristic precision. "We cannot allow a breach. Kelly and Linda, take the high ground and set suppression points. Fred, cover rear approaches and monitor for infiltration. I'll lead the main engagement against direct threats. Shepard, coordinate defensive maneuvers and prepare Normandy for immediate deployment if aerial engagement is necessary." As the unknown forces arrived, the battlefield erupted. The attackers were unlike anything previously encountered. Sleek, angular craft deployed ground units that combined organic and synthetic features, operating with autonomous intelligence and coordinated adaptability. The Sith, although retreating in the previous engagements, had returned, now aligned with some of these new, unknown entities, further complicating the tactical landscape. Ventress, recognizing the futility of her assault, withdrew with the remaining Sith forces. The interdimensional attackers, unable to adapt to the integrated Spartan mass effect strategy, retreated into hyperspace, their propulsion systems flaring as they disappeared beyond detection. John surveyed the battlefield, the first calm since the engagement had begun. He noted the artifact's energy had stabilized into a low-frequency pulse, its chaos now controlled, but still a beacon for unknown threats. Shepard approached, nodding in acknowledgement of the Spartans' efficiency and the collective success of the Allied forces. "We held them off," Shepard said. "But this artifact is going to keep drawing more powerful enemies." John's response was measured. "We've proven we can adapt and survive. That's the critical factor. The artifact will continue to challenge us, but our combined strategy ensures we endure." Liara and Tali monitored residual energy fluctuations, recording the artifact's interactions with biotic, force, and technological energy. Liara noted, "The artifact is now a stabilized focal point, but its dimensional resonance suggests further observation. Unknown entities will continue to be drawn to it, testing our defenses and forcing adaptive strategies." Tali confirmed, "We have time to reinforce containment, but it's only a matter of time before the next escalation." John convened Blue Team for a final briefing. "We've survived the decisive engagement, but the universe continues to test us," he said. "Every adversary, every incursion, will be more complex. Adaptation, survival, and execution remain our only guarantees. Maintain readiness, strengthen alliances, and anticipate the unknown. That is the Spartan way, and it is the way we endure." Kelly darted through enemy ranks with precision, neutralizing high-value units before they could reach critical points near the artifact. Linda's sniper fire disrupted coordinated assaults, taking out command units that attempted to synchronize attacks. Fred 104 maintained a continuous suppression field, stabilizing sectors of the battlefield while John engaged the main force head-on, his shields absorbing energy blasts, his armor systems calculating trajectories, and his tactical acumen allowing him to anticipate enemy maneuvers. The artifact pulsed violently as the battle reached its zenith, interacting chaotically with biotic, force, and technological energy signatures. Liara and Tali adjusted containment protocols dynamically, balancing stabilization and strategic interference. Every surge threatened catastrophic dimensional feedback, forcing John to incorporate the artifact itself into his tactical calculations. A critical moment emerged when Ventress led a concentrated strike, seeking to exploit a temporary destabilization in the artifact's containment field. John intercepted her, kinetic shields clashing against force-enhanced attacks. Kelly and Linda neutralized the support units, ensuring the Sith operative could not exploit gaps. Fred maintained suppression across the perimeter, countering new threats deployed by the unknown forces. Simultaneously, Shepard coordinated Normandy's deployment to intercept the fastest-moving enemy units, preventing infiltration into key defensive zones. The combined efforts created a dynamic balance where offense and defense were inseparable, with every participant responding to threats in real time. Hours of continuous combat culminated in a final, decisive surge. The artifact resonated, amplifying defensive fields and destabilizing enemy coordination. The artifact, now stabilized, served as a testament to both the ingenuity and resilience of the combined forces. Blue Team had proven that Spartan discipline, adaptability, and tactical mastery could operate seamlessly alongside Mass Effect's advanced technology, biotics, and leadership under Shepard. The Jedi, while limited by the artifact's chaotic resonance, contributed strategic foresight and force-sensitive guidance, bridging the gap between worlds. Yet, the victory was provisional. The artifact's dimensional energy ensured that new threats would inevitably arise. Sith strategists would plot, unknown interdimensional forces would test defenses, and factions both familiar and alien would converge on its power. Each skirmish and decision forged a new pattern of collaboration and conflict, redefining alliances, strategy, and the moral compass of all involved. John 1:17 understood the stakes. Survival required more than combat skill. It demanded foresight, ethical clarity, and unflinching determination. As galaxies converged around the artifact, Spartans, Mass Effect allies, and Jedi prepared for the next inevitable escalation, united by circumstance and mutual necessity. The universe had changed, and those who adapted fastest would define the outcome of an unprecedented cosmic collision. The artifact's faint pulse continued, a silent herald of new challenges, shaping a future where strategy, morality, and power would be tested across galaxies in ways previously unimaginable.